Ambassador, Donald Trump insisted that no classified information was shared, there was no war plan shared. Does that still wash after these new messages?
No, I don't think it does. I think clearly the kind of information that was disclosed both by Michael Waltz and by Pete Hegseth in these latest revelations by The Atlantic, if they fell into the hands of an American adversary, would be extremely dangerous for American forces about to enter into combat. And the whole definitional structure of classified information is the amount of harm it would cause to the United States, varying amounts of harm for various levels of classification. There's simply no doubt with this information that we've seen that potential harm to American forces was real, and that makes it classified, and that makes its release in a non-classified channel a serious matter.
So should there be, how serious is it? Should there be consequences, sackings?
Well, I think that's going to be very much discussed. Having looked at this this morning, I think that the president would be justified in removing both Hegseth and Waltz. Whether he will do it or not is a different question. It doesn't, in the Trump world, it doesn't depend on the damage to American national security. It depends on the damage to Donald Trump. And at this moment, I think the political damage to Trump is beginning to mount. Whether he will react to it at this point, hard to say.
Removing the Defence Secretary and the National Security Advisor would leave quite a hole, wouldn't it?
Well, believe me, Washington is a town full of ambitious people, and I'm sure there would be no lack of applicants for either job. It would serve as a reminder, however, that tenure in Trump administrations can be brief.
As you know. Donald Trump said that Hillary Clinton should be jailed for her use of a private email server. Is this a far bigger error in your view?
You know, I was very critical of Hillary Clinton back in 2016 when the extent of this email issue came to light. And I think it's important that we try and restore what should be the rule of law here about prosecutions, that it doesn't depend if an earlier incident didn't result unfairly in prosecution and therefore excuses no prosecution in the current instance. I personally, speaking as a lawyer, don't think we know enough at this point to know whether criminal charges are warranted here. But the fact that Hillary Clinton was not prosecuted before, rightly or wrongly, should not change the standard of judgment that the Justice Department, if it begins an investigation, which is anybody's guess, would apply here. It doesn't. The mistake in the past does not justify a mistake in the present.
I take that point, but in terms of how big an error this is it worse, in your view, than what Hillary Clinton did?
Well, I think it's worse in the sense that more senior officials were involved. It remains to me absolutely inexplicable why so many senior officials on this Signal chat group, at some point, somebody like the vice president, the most senior official, didn't say, we need to get off Signal and get on the high side, get on a classified system.
Why do you think that was?
I have no idea. I'm not trying to denigrate these people. I'm saying, you know, the way people look at books like Computers for Dummies. Here's communication of sensitive information for dummies. The way I would look at it, you're either on a secure governmental system or you're not. If you're not on a secure governmental system, you got a problem.
Do you think laws may have been broken here then? I know you say we need to know more before you come to a conclusion, but do you think that might be the case?
I think this is something that the Justice Department lawyers should look at. Again, I'm not trying to prejudge it. This is very serious business, and I don't think. I mean, I say it shouldn't be politicized. Obviously, everything is politicized in Washington these days, but we need to get back on an even keel where decisions like this on a possible prosecution are made without regard to the identity or political affiliation of the people who are under scrutiny. It's only when we get back to that that we have any possibility of taking this national security issue out of partisan politics.
You know, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, says this whole thing has been overblown. The message from the Trump administration is that this is sensationalism by the media. Do they have a point in that no harm was done? The Atlantic itself acted responsibly. You know, a key name was redacted, for example. You know, no harm done.
No, I don't think that's a valid point. The question is, what was the potential damage to the United States that this kind of behavior caused? And I think the potential damage was real. The second matter, this doesn't necessarily go to criminal prosecution, but it does go to accountability and consequences for the people involved. What does this say to the thousands of people in the military and in the intelligence community and the State Department and other government agencies that the very top levels of the U.S. government make this kind of mistake and so far at least have not faced consequences? What does it say to them? What does it do to their morale? What does it do to their effectiveness? What does it do to their respect for their leadership? And beyond that, what does the rest of the world say when senior government officials in the United States behave so irresponsibly? What were they doing
Mm.
off of secure government channels? That is the original sin here. That is the question not a one of them has yet answered.
And you just referred to potential damage. Has actual damage been done then?
Well, I think actual damage is possible because of the way foreign intelligence services operate, the way our own intelligence services operate. You take everything you can get, you take every piece of information, in this case, about American military operations against the Houthis in Yemen. It tells you something that otherwise you wouldn't know about American capabilities, American tactics, American approaches to this kind of thing. And that is useful to the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, the North Koreans, and others as well. How
Mm.
that fits into the body of knowledge they already have is a question I can't answer, but it can't help, that's for sure.
Just finally, Donald Trump has talked about it being just one glitch in his tenure so far. Do you think we're going to look back on this as a key moment? Do you think it's going to start having an impact in public perception of him?
I think that's quite likely. I think Trump's behavior in the past couple of days has been very interesting. It's certainly the case that he issued a statement supportive of Mike Waltz and the others, but he's also been very careful to stay distant from this. He's not defending the action. He asks Mike Waltz to answer questions. He refers to the Defense Department. I think that Trump views things through the prism of how does this help or hurt Donald Trump? I think this may be a turning point where he concludes it hurts Donald Trump, and that could mean there really will be consequences.